on the News Channel 5 network. This is MorningLine with Nick Barris.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on MorningLine. Nick Barris here on a Tuesday, and we've got a good show. Listen, sit back, relax, because as you are at home right now, it's probably pouring and the temperature is dropping. I came in at 4 this morning. It was about 58 degrees. My guest just came in, and as she stepped into the studio, she said it was about 39. So the temperature dropping with this moisture, we're going to get snow. Just stay inside, relax, and join us on MorningLine. We'll open up the phone lines. We're talking elder law, elder care, legal issues, free legal advice for you. If you have questions or comments about a broad range of topics, we'll cover those for you with our guest, who, I gotta be honest, I was thinking, maybe she won't make it because of the rain and the traffic. I apologize for ever doubting Barbara McGinnis.
Well, I was a nurse before I was an attorney, and nurses just don't not show up.
They always
you
very
have
reliable.
to show up. So,
was it bad coming in? Was it okay this morning?
It was normal bad traffic in the rain. Because Nashville doesn't drive well in the rain.
I agree. Not good.
The normal backups and stuff.
Did you say as you came in, was it starting to sleet a bit?
Yes.
All right, yeah, the temperature's dropping fast.
Yeah. I actually had a windshield full of sleet when I left my house this morning.
Really?
Yeah.
You may end up being snowed in. Look, we have a cafeteria.
Right.
You know what? There's a cot up in the weather center where you can sleep up there if you want to take a nap and get some rest. You're welcome to stay as long as you want.
Thank you.
I guarantee you she'll be here for the next hour. So the number is 737-7587. It's been a while since we've done this with Tim or you, where at the beginning of the show we talked about elder law. Remind folks the broad spectrum of topics that covers. What it is you guys do with Take Us McGinnis.
Certainly. We specialize not only within elder law, but within the niche of helping folks navigate care concerns. Right. So we're really about chronic care, the impact of sudden disability or the frailty that comes with advanced age, the legal, personal care, and financial care that goes along with that. Now, we're not trying to step on any financial advisors' toes. We're more about how do we finance personal care and health care. So that means, how do you wisely use personal wealth? Do you use a reverse mortgage to stay at home and take care of yourself? Or how do you use government benefits to your full advantage? Are you eligible for veterans benefits? How do you use Medicare to its full advantage? And sometimes, actually frequently, it's how to use Medicaid or TennCare to help.
And I'll tell you what, it's tricky, and I can speak from personal experience. Barbara and Tim, I've learned so much from you, and in dealing with my folks who are in assisted living right now, and some of the things you don't think about benefits and how you are going to pay for that assisted living facility, and then whether or not you're finding a facility that's Medicaid qualified for if and when a family runs out of money, how they pay. A lot of people just assume, oh, well, Medicaid's going to pay for my nursing home.
Right. A lot of people assume a lot of things about how care is going to get paid for. People with military history often do not know how their veterans benefits are going to play into it. They think, when I get old and sick, I just show up at the veterans home and they're going to take care of me. That's not always the case either. So you need to understand what those benefits are and what they are not, so that you can plan ahead. I think that's really one of the most important things that you can do is we need to plan to not just die one day, your will, but we need to plan on maybe we're going to be disabled before we pass away. And that period of disability or chronic illness, we're going to have care needs. So how do we use those benefits we may or may not be eligible for? Like I know my parents thought for years that Dad had served 20+ years in the military. He was going to be eligible for some sort of
VA
benefit when he needed health care, chronic care, and
it wasn't what they thought.
That is what they
did
thought.
get it. Okay, did they? But
they didn't get it.
They didn't. Wow. Okay.
They didn't get it because they went to the wrong person.
Okay. See, and that's where you guys come in handy. And learning things also depends on when you served, whether you were during war times, things like this. It's just there are so many obstacles to it, and that's why you need a little help guiding you through it.
Yeah.
There's just.
And so my dad was a veteran of both the Korean War, veteran, and Vietnam, and so he had the military, the honorable discharge, all of that. They were a little over-resourced, and the person they went to just said, well, when you get down to then you can come back and apply without thinking. And at that point in time, there were many opportunities for restructuring. That was really about the time that I started going to law school, was not just having a parent that was dealing with the care continuum and decline, but to worry about how was I going to pay for care and how long was I going to have to pay for care. That is
that's stressful.
That is very
All these
stressful.
things are stressful, and it's interesting you say this too. It's do you have an age where you say people should start thinking about this? I mean, you and I, God willing, are not going to be dealing with assisted living or anything like that for years. Now, we may be planning for our families and our parents, and then when should, because I know we have got a broad range of viewers on this show, okay? Many of them are a little bit older. There's some younger ones who maybe are saying, well, you know what, I'm not going to watch this because what do I care right now? When should you start thinking about these things?
Well, every adult needs an estate plan, right? So it doesn't matter if you're 24 years old or if you're 74 years old. Every adult needs an estate plan. What your estate plan looks like may be very different.
Now, what goes into an estate plan? Are you talking about a will or what?
So that's powers of attorney, both durable general and health care. So we've talked about that. You never know when those are going to be needed. Sometimes they're kind of, there's a traumatic event, there's something unforeseen that happens. We don't always just age into needing those things. So having those powers of attorney in place, they're what I call a conservatorship prevention tool. Conservatorship's when you go to court and ask the judge permission to do something for someone else, right? But it's also the will. What happens to my stuff? If you're a younger adult, excuse me, if you're a younger adult, you may need a will to name guardian for your children.
Yeah.
That's something you wouldn't need probably at our age, because we probably don't have minor children at home. But so disposition of assets, a will can be, it's more than just coming in and saying, I want, you know, all of my stuff to go to my kids. It can be very particular about specific bequests, charitable remainder language. I want X% to go to my church, or I want it to go to the Humane Society. And it can also direct disposition of personal property. You know, what we see now is that a lot of this generation has a lot of personal property.
You're talking about like things like homes, cars, motorcycle, your paddleboard, whatever, pets? Does that count?
Pets count. Pets are actually property, and you can create a disposition for your pet inside your will about who's going to take care of your pet.
Or you can leave all your money to your pet. Have you ever seen that, where someone left their entire estate to their cat or dog?
Well, I've seen it in the paper, but I've never really seen it in real life.
When that actually happens and someone leaves it to Spot.
Yeah, you're leaving it to the trustee of someone to take care of Spot.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know.
There's $1 million. I mean, my gosh. Okay.
You can.
Yeah.
And so somebody the other day was in wanting, they had an immense Gone with the Wind collection and who they were leaving that to.
Really?
And
that's
it was special to them.
Of course.
Whether or not it will be special to the person that receives it.
Well, they have someone in mind they thought we would mean something to, and they said, I want to make sure of my estate, this Gone with the Wind collection goes to this person.
That's right.
Good for them. That's great.
That's right. So you can, those sorts of little specific bequests about personal property, you can put it in your will, but then every time you change your stuff or the people that you want to leave your stuff to, it means you come back to the attorney to update it. You can also do a handwritten codicil or a written memorandum and just attach that to you. We often say that's much more convenient for those sorts of things. It only works for personal property. Like your tangible personal property. So I want my china to blah blah blah, my jewelry, and how I'm going to divide my jewelry and how. So that's a good thing to use a written memorandum for.
So if someone sits down with you and goes through the will, the reason I ask this is in some of the high-profile cases that you and I have followed, wills sometimes get challenged.
Absolutely.
Now, hopefully you have a family situation where your loved ones get along, and there it is. But you know as well as I do, that's not always the case. So I'm wondering, like, if I were to go to you and Tim and say, let's work this will out, is there a way you can make sure all the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, and now anyone can sue for anything, I know that, but that it will hold up to a legal challenge, because you see legal challenges oftentimes, and then it gets tied up in court, and then you've got to deal with it. It's a headache. but that you're going to win with what you guys put together.
Right. There's some things you can do to insulate yourself from those situations. You can use incontestability clauses, meaning that if you challenge it, and you lose, then you lose everything.
So that meaning like, okay, you take your shot at me on my bill, but if you fail, then you don't even get what I left you originally. Right. You're out. Ah, that's interesting. I'd never heard of that.
So you can do that.
Okay.
But from a drafting standpoint and an execution standpoint, it's really making sure that we document that you are indeed of sound mind. You have the testamentary capacity to craft a will, meaning you know who your loved ones are, who your next of kin is, what kind of stuff do you have, what real estate, what money, what personal property do you have, and the nexus, the connection between these are my natural heirs and I choose to leave them my assets in whatever disposition or not, and for whatever reasons. So you are of sound mind and you're not under what we call the undue influence of someone else. Obviously, we're always under the influence of others, but it's when it comes to that level of undue influence, like someone, so it would be hard to say that, healthy adults that we're responsible for ourselves, it'd be hard really to say that we're under the undue influence of anyone. But as someone ages and becomes frail or sick and they're dependent on other people for maybe their care, maybe their transportation.
They can be manipulated then.
Exactly.
Well, remember the Anna Nicole Smith case. And of course, Anna Nicole married a rich millionaire much later in his life. He's very old, she's young, and then their family, I don't even remember how that worked out, because his family sued her after he passed. And I think she ended up getting a chunk of it. But anyway, it's just interesting. Exactly. That's one reason you want to deal with a lawyer for this. Look, we'll take a break. When we come back, Barb is staying with us until 9 o'clock. The phone lines are open, 737-7587. If you have a question about a will, things like living wills, and you are not kidding. I learned out the hard way just how important it is to have power of attorney to your parents. I mean, that's just crucial, and it's easy to set up. So any questions along those lines you'd like, the experts right here. We'll be back with more of our conversation right after this. Stay with us.